What's up, YouTube? It's a beautiful Saturday morning. You got some questions and I got some answers. How did you start in leatherwork? So I always was an artist as a kid. My mom was a painter and I always thought that was super cool. And back when I was really young, like 5-6 years old, when I used to show livestock, I would also enter the exhibits inside the building, like painting and photography and stuff like that. I remember, I believe I was 6 years old. I did this rooster watercolor painting. I won for like the youngest division, like what it was like from 5 to 8 or something. And I remember being really young and going like, I'm better than 8-year-olds at this shit. Hell yeah. And I remember I got a big ass ribbon and I think I won like $10. And when you're 6 years old, you're like $10 is like $1 million. I think that was when I was like bit by the artist bug. So I always did art kind of growing up. And then especially through like my teenage years, I struggled with a lot of like mental health stuff when I was a kid. When I was like a teenager, I was like the prime example of like a troubled at-risk youth. That's a story for another time, but I was like a deeply troubled teenager. And I just remember the countless hours of locking myself away and listening to music and just drawing, trying to be as antisocial and as deep and misunderstood as possible. Anyways, like I would, with all my drawing skills and stuff, which I was never really a great, I'm never really a great artist in the sense of being able to draw things well, but I was always very creative and had really cool and unique ideas. And I think that's where, as an artist, is my strong point. But I would like sell those drawings at high school for, you know, $2-3, or, you know, spend a period drawing something for somebody and then, you know, they buy me lunch or like a Gatorade from the school vending machine or something like that. So I ended up graduating. I went to college for philosophy because I was kind of like had a lot of mental kind of problems, so I wanted to kind of expand my mind to different ideas. And then I realized after 2 years of studying philosophy, basically nothing matters at all as long as you feel happy, fulfilled, and joyful, and you feel like you're living a righteous life. Whatever that might be. You only get one shot at life. So if that's the case, well, I definitely don't want a regular job. So, you know, throughout my teenage years, I always had commission-based jobs. I actually used to collect debt in high school over the phone, and like I would like mow lawns and clean horse stalls and stuff like that. So I was always had this kind of like hustler's mentality. And all at the same time, my brother had his saddle repair shop. So he would, you know, hire me throughout high school, you know, hey, I got $20 for you to clean a saddle. And then as I was going through college, I was still hustling and stuff. I ended up working more and more with my brother because it was just easier and easier to have consistent work. And basically when I would work for my brother, he would have this service called saddle tune-ups, where basically they're just a hyper glorified saddle cleaning, where we would like go through and clean the shit out of your saddle. I would have to sit there with a toothbrush and clean dirt out of tooling and stuff like that. And then we would do other stuff, you know, oil it up, like replace screws that might be missing, whatnot. Once that part of my college was over and I realized that I can't do anything with this philosophy degree other than the stuff that I learned about myself and about life studying philosophy, I realized that I didn't want to continue on, and I also didn't want the college debt. So once I graduated college, I was at this real hard fork in the road where I knew I wanted to kind of do my own thing, and I was spending a lot of time with my brother, so I ended up working with him full time. The plan was to integrate me, so this would be like our family business. And after working with him for, you know, probably a year and a half solid, I kind of realized that it was always going to be my brother's show. You know, I was always going to be the saddle cleaner. I was always going to have secondary jobs and positions to him. You know, especially at that age, it felt like shit, but now it makes sense. It's his business and that kind of stuff. So I understand it better now in retrospect. But basically stuff happened. Me and him butted heads. We're brothers, right? So then I was like, all right, dude, well, I'm not gonna be little brother forever. I want to do my own thing. So when I left, I had to think, fuck, what do I know how to do? All my college education is not transferable without more education, so I can't do anything really in psychology or philosophy. I know how to hustle up money. I have a basic understanding of leather work, and I've always been good at art. So I was like, how do I put all that together? I knew a lot about repair because my brother was a repair guy, and I had the patience to do the art. So I was like, well, if I go and do this on my own and start this leather business, then I don't want to be in direct competition with my brother because there's only so many saddles in one area to repair, so I'll let him have that so he doesn't hate me. I'll just stick to doing my art. So that is like the full synthesis of how I ended up becoming a professional like leather tooler. But when I started leatherwork, I really tried to take as many of the things that I knew how to do good, because they were all such an obscure random set of skills that if I want to be successful at, you know, anything really, I have to take everything that I know that I'm decent at, or at least competent at, and really try and hone those skills. And here I am today. Tips on antiquing over white paint. No tips. That shit is hard. It's difficult. If you gotta paint it white after you're done antiquing it, you gotta paint it white. Wish I had more help. Try resisting your products or resisting over your paint. That might cause problems because your resist might actually pull paint off. White is impossible to make look really good without either 9 million coats of resist or just having to paint it white a second time once everything's finished. I literally had to do this last week. Any tips for swivel knife sharpening? Leather Wranglers, Paul, he has a book, he has YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff. I actually plan on making a sharpening video because it took me years to figure out how to do it properly. So make sure if you want to know how to sharpen your swivel knives and learn the secret trick if you can't figure out through watching videos, my idiot monkey brain figured out the trick. So stay tuned, subscribe, and I will have a video out shortly about how to sharpen your swivel knives. Have I ever made a leather tuxedo? No, but I have made a couple gimp masks. Will you be in Las Vegas at Cowboy Christmas? This year, I don't think so. I went last year. I probably shouldn't tell this story, but fuck it. We'll do it live. So I've been to Cowboy Christmas twice. The first time I went was, I think, like 5 Cowboy Christmases ago when I was still struggling with growing up, let's just say that, and I was doing a lot of partying. And let's just say I partied a little bit too hard. And then when I walked into the Cowboy Christmas building, it was so overwhelming. I just started freaking the fuck out. And I was like, yo, you guys, I can't be here right now. I gotta get out of here. I can't be around all these people, man. And yeah, went all the way to Vegas to walk in and then just have a meltdown when I was a little too overcooked at the time. But I went last year and it was a really cool experience. You know, Cowboy Christmas is one of those things where people don't really realize the type of commitment. If you really look at Cowboy Christmas, there's not a lot of actual leather crafters that go there, and the ones that do set up shop there typically will run their entire business around that event. And the hard part is like, if I'm not mistaken, you can fact check me on this, but I believe it's like $300 or $400 a day, and then they want your commitment for the full 10 days, but then you also have to pay for the room, the board, all the time that you spent there, and that whole ordeal, and then the displays and this whole thing. And after it's all said and done, it's like a $10,000 investment to set up shop there. And you know, I've never been an inventory person either. I've always been the custom guy, so just that whole type of vibe doesn't make sense. As for going and just hanging out, it's a possibility. I got a good friend, Abby Benz, Miss Rodeo Arkansas, who's making a run at the Miss Rodeo America, so I might go and cheer her on. But in early September, I am still technically undecided. Probably not, I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your favorite color of the alphabet? Maybe. What would be your dream belt design? Oh my God. For the love of, I understand our troops need to like do practice jet fighter runs, but it's Saturday at like 9 a.m. Trying to film a YouTube video here. United States Air Force. What would be your dream belt design to do if you could take total creative liberty? Part of what I enjoy the most about what I do is the variety and being able to help people kind of come up with a cooler idea than they can think of, if that makes sense. A lot of people don't like doing custom work because they don't like dealing with the people. And it's funny because that's like exactly my favorite part. So to like specifically answer your question, like my personal belt I made for myself was pretty simple. It was just like floral with skulls and roses, like boom, because it fits who I am. Like I think that's ultimately the thing that I enjoy the most about doing custom work and what I do, is that I get to make something that's super special and super meaningful for the person that's ordering. You know, like the other day I made a belt where the guy, he's like, you know, I'm into gambling and I think it would be sick to have you know, a skeleton riding a surfboard. And I'm like, say no more, fam. That shit sounds so tight. And then I enjoyed like being able to take those ideas and being like, okay, maybe we'll put, you know, a pair of dice, you know, we'll put a poker hand, maybe a skeleton hand throwing up the shaka. Or, you know, I had a girl who wanted a purse strap. She wanted a skeleton hand doing the rockers, like hand like this, and she wanted a skull with the headdress on. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then now maybe we can add some like feathers throughout the rest of the tooling to tie in with the headdress. If you want the rocker hands, you're probably going for an edgier, more alternative kind of vibe. So let's maybe throw in a couple skulls that don't have headdresses. Like maybe we could do one giant skull with a giant headdress as like your centerpiece. And then the rest of it we could fill out with like, you know, the rocker hand and other skulls and other feathers. And then we'll tie it all in together with the Western floral, tying in the colors that they want. Like that's the fun part. So and you know, the crazy thing is like, because I do so much custom stuff, a lot of the times people want kind of the same stuff. And I don't necessarily say that in a bad way. Like people, like I do so many roses and I do so many skulls and I do so many, you know, horses, things like that. What my favorite stuff to do is the random shit. Like the more strange, random, mundane, the more I like it. So for example, the other day, I had a guy who wanted to order a wallet for his son, and his son had just got like a scholarship for pole vaulting. And he was like, yeah, you know, I don't know, I kind of want to tie in the pole vaulting, but I don't know what you can do. So maybe like just like a little silhouette or something. And I'm like, nah, we're tooling a straight up pole vaulter with like the shirt flapping in the wind with like wrinkles in the pants. Like that kind of stuff is so fun to me. Basically taking people who have like relatively low expectations and then just like going so far out of the way. This guy's like, I don't know, could you do a silhouette of a pole vaulter or like maybe even just the bar? And I'm like, nah, we're gonna do a fully tooled human being pole vaulting up and over the bar from like a low down view with the perspective of the sky. Like that's the kind of stuff that I like. The creative liberties I want is for people to come to me with random ideas, and then I can take creative liberties to make whatever their piece is as special as possible. What is my favorite leather to use, type, ounce, company, etc.? So, I mean, most everything I use is veg tan. I back my belts with like Horween, usually black. And that's partially because I was like doing veg tan backing on my belts that I'd have to sit there and oil and stain on my own. And I'm like, why don't I just get a nice sturdy black and then just back it with that and save myself some time, which it ends up way more consistent. As for the weight, I like riding the line of having a piece be almost like too thick that you might have to like scythe stuff down, because basically the thicker you can go with the leather, the deeper you can tool. Like I've seen pieces of mine that I tooled like 3-4 years ago that are still insanely deep, and everything else is breaking down except the tooling is like in there. So I always go the side of going a little bit thicker, and if you have to thin some stuff out, then you can do that, you know, on your own. You know, certain projects might call for like 5/6, and then a lot of my other projects might call for like 7/9. Like belts will run for 7/9. If I can get away with 7/9 on a purse or a bag, I'm gonna run with that. I'm always gonna try and get away with 7/9, but on the thinner stuff I might run 5/6. Finishing process, I got a video for that. I'll link it down in the description. Go check it out. Thanks for watching.